I'd like to take a moment to welcome everyone to our hybrid learning town hall and to thank you for joining us today. The purpose of this town hall is for all of our stakeholders to hear about the expanded in-person learning opportunities that will be starting in District 401 starting on April 6th. I'd like to take a moment just to introduce myself. My name is Dr. Leah Gochi. I am the Superintendent of Schools for District 401. I have with me today our district office administrators. I have Dr. Kim Ontiveros, Mr. Jim Jennings, Dr. Carrie Smith. I also have our 4 building principals. I have Ms. Ashley Grunewald, Mr. Doug Wilds, Mr. Matt Lerner, and Mr. Frank Kuzniewski. Our purpose today is to go through what the in-person opportunities will be starting on April 6th. And at the end of this overview, there's going to be an option for you to ask any of your questions that you still may have after listening to us, as well as completing a survey to determine if you want your student to be a part of Remote Learning 2.0 or to be a part of the in-person opportunities that we'll be providing. So I'm going to go ahead and just get started with our district priorities. These are the same priorities that we've had since the beginning of the school year. And that is to maintain the health and safety for our students, our staff, and our community, as well as to have that consistent plan for academic achievement. This ties directly to our district goals, is that we can maintain and be as flexible and responsive as possible, because we know that things are fluid and things are constantly changing with the pandemic, and to make sure that we have a safe and secure learning and work conditions for all of our students and staff aligned with what the Illinois State Board of Education and the Illinois Department of Public Health recommends. This is all tied together that we maintain our rigorous academics and our social emotional support. So in taking those things into consideration, we have here our hybrid learning considerations. So any of our students, pre-K through 12th grade, can continue to be a part of Remote Learning 2.0. This is when your student would maintain remote learning 5 days per week. Now, our remote learning may look a little bit different in order to accommodate some of the other in-person instruction that we will be offering. Some of those changes may include a different remote teacher for our pre-K through 5th grade students, the live streaming of class, and then transition time or a possible schedule change. If you do not want your child to be a part of Remote Learning 2.0, there is an option for pre-K through 5th grade families to choose a full in-person option. For our 6th through 12th grade families, if you do not want your child to be a part of Remote Learning 2.0, you may choose a hybrid option, which includes a combination of remote and in-person learning. We're also taking a look at all of our staffing, who do we have to support all of our learning and to maintain, to be as consistent as possible in that in-person environment. So we're taking a look at that. We also are looking at the IDPH mitigation guidelines, and we are following those to the greatest extent possible. But based on the student interests, we may not be able to guarantee that we can follow the IDPH social distancing guidelines for every class. So before you make your choice of putting your child into the in-person option, we want you to be well aware of that. And if you want to make sure that your child is always following that IDPH social distancing guidelines, you may want to choose Remote Learning 2.0. We also need to ensure that we have our high quality instruction and that it is as consistent as possible. So our staff will maintain the IDPH social distancing guidelines to the greatest extent possible. So taking a look at all of these considerations, we have each of our building principals that are going to be sharing out what this will look like at each of the buildings. And we're going to go ahead and start with our elementary schedule. So I'm going to ask Mr. Kuzniewski and Mr. Lerner to go ahead and share what it will look like at Elmwood and at John Mills.
So this is Mr. Lerner. I am the principal of Elmwood Elementary. What you will see in front of you, and when we look forward to April 6th, currently in our hybrid option, parents and students have the opportunity to come for half day. So they come for 2.5 hours in person, and then do their other half of the day asynchronous or independent. Moving forward on April 6th, both buildings will be offering a full day in-person option for our families. The schedule is at the top of the slide. It's from 8:40 to 3, which is our full day schedule for our elementary. And then we have 2 sample schedules of what this may look like at each building. The sample for Elmwood schedule talks about the different grade levels. We'll let Dr. Gochi click on it. So this is a sample schedule of a student and a grade. So if your student is in second grade, you will see an idea of what their day will look like from their subjects. And same thing if they're third, fourth, and fifth, because we're departmentalized. They could be student A or student B, depending on their homeroom teacher. But again, this gives you an idea of what a full day schedule will look like. If you go back to the slide, the number of minutes per day is the same between both buildings. So in a second, we're going to click on the John Mills schedule. But everybody, regardless of their grade and their teacher, and whether they're remote or in person, will be getting those amounts of minutes. So you see ELA, math, science, specials, lunch, recess, and then at John Mills, it's called Trojan time. At Elmwood, it's called the YEP block for the amount of time that students. We're excited to be able to offer a full day opportunity for students to be there for the entire day. And I'm going to let Mr. K talk a little bit about the John Mills schedule.
Thanks, Mr. Lerner. Good evening, everyone. This is Frank Kuzneski, the very proud principal of John Mills. And so the sample schedule for John Mills is embedded here for your review. Again, breaking down by grade levels. And something that we really want to point out is with regards to our offering of our specials and how our recess periods are kind of separated by grade level to limit the number of kids who would be out at recess at a time, and how our lunch periods are spaced out as well. Also unique to John Mills is that we house our pre-K program, and the pre-K schedule will change slightly, but it is back to the way things were prior to COVID. So the pre-K schedule, the morning session goes from starts at 8:10 and goes until 10:50, and our afternoon session goes from 12:05 to 2:45. We heard the concerns. We want to make sure that our families are able to participate in our pre-K program and take advantage of its offerings, and still be able to get to Elmwood or any of the other schools on time for other students. That is the main difference between our two buildings at this time. And if you have any questions regarding those sample schedules, please don't hesitate to reach out to me at John Mills or Mr. Lerner at Elmwood. With some more information for our elementary buildings, we want to assure that our parents that are remote and in-person will follow the same or a very similar schedule. In your survey, and this as a preview, the classroom teachers may change as a result of offering a full day of learning. So we do want to be very transparent with you on that for when you are making your decision on the best learning environment for your student. In addition to possible classroom teachers changing, our lunch schedule may change, again, based on the number of students who are wanting to come back full day in person. We will be stressing the use of the masks at all times while inside of our school buildings, and we will work to have scheduled mask breaks outside in addition to our recess periods. Students may have modified recess following the IDPH guidelines, and it is important to note that all students, regardless of in-person or remote, will have their specials every day.
And I just have one more clarification, Dr. Gochi. One of the things we talked about is the classroom teachers may change. This is all dependent on the survey and the learning preference that everyone takes. So parents, as you're taking it, I know one of the questions is going to be, is my teacher going to be the same? We won't know that information until we have all of the survey results, but then we will be communicating that out to families once we know that information.
All right, thank you everybody for joining us here tonight. I am Ashley Groneveld and I am the principal at Elm Middle School. I am going to be taking you through the weekly schedule for Elm Middle School, and then there's a little bit of a preview for the high school as well here. You will notice. You will see that we will be offering a full day for students 2 days a week. Monday and Tuesday, if your last name is A through L, you will attend all day. And then Wednesday and Thursday, M through Z, you will attend all day. We also have a select group of students that will attend Monday through Thursday. All students will be remote and they will follow a modified schedule, which Mr. Wiles will be walking you guys through a little bit later in this presentation on Fridays. With this change on April 6th, We will also have a bell schedule change. We are very excited to offer students an additional 5 instructional minutes in their courses. So every period will run for 50 minutes. Additionally, our 5A, B, and C, which is our lunch, CSI, and advisory time, will be 30 minutes long. We know that students at the middle school do not need a 5-minute passing period, and so we were able to take some of that time from the passing period and also the travel that we have in the middle of the day to give our students 5 additional minutes with our wonderful staff and the experts in their fields, and then also be able to start at 8:08 in the morning, a little bit later than we usually would, and end at 3:02 p.m. Dr. Good, thank you. You will notice that we do have a select group of students, as we have, all year. Those select students are students enrolled in our instructional special education courses, in our English language instructional courses, and students in our core program. These students will be invited to attend class every day, Monday through Thursday, and they will be remote on Friday. And then, like I said before as well, we have that alpha split on Monday and Tuesday, A through L, Wednesday and Thursday, M through Z. Students will attend all day from 8:05 until 3:02 p.m. and they will go to all periods 1 through 7. We know that providing the full day for our students is what they need. We will see increased staff time with students and staff while staying committed to all of our teachers and students seeing each other every single day. This is doubling the amount of in-person opportunities for our students. Like I said, Mr. Wiles is going to talk about that Friday schedule here in a moment. I don't want to steal his thunder, but we will be building some asynchronous time in here as well for our students on Fridays. We're happy that students will be eating lunch in the buildings 2 days a week. It will look a little bit different, but that's okay. And then an easier routine for all of our families to follow while staying committed to our students being in the building.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Doug Wilds. I'm the building principal of Elmwood Park High School, and here I am going to talk a little bit about the revised bell schedule as well for the high school beginning on Tuesday, April 6th for 2021. This is, again, our Monday through Thursday schedule. As you'll notice, the beginning of the day, we will have that staff support time that Ms. Gronevella talked about. It's a reduced amount of time, and our first hour class will start at 8:10, and we'll continue to have 45-minute periods with 5 minutes of passing in between. And then if you take a look, we're actually going to revise our 5th hour class periods. We need more lunch periods to handle the amount of students in the building, as well as create an advisory period where we can provide social emotional learning, some additional supports for the students. So if you take a look at how your student's 5th hour class period would look, your student may have their English, math, science, social studies elective course during periods 5A and 5B. And then they may have their lunch period during 5C, and then 5D would be their advisory, or some combination of that. So every student would have 2 periods during 5th hour that would be class, 1 period advisory, and 1 period as lunch. And then we would finish with 6th and 7th hour, and 7th hour would finish at 3:05 p.m. Much like what Ms. Groneveld had talked about, we will have a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday alpha split. Mondays and Tuesdays, our last name students with last names A through L will be in the buildings. And then on Wednesdays and Thursdays, last names M through Z. And those will be full day student attendance schedules. So that is, again, a difference starting on Tuesday, April 6th than what our current hybrid schedule is right now. And then on Fridays, as Ms. Groneveld also talked about, we have a modified schedule on Fridays where all of our students will be full remote, and we will have an early release schedule that, again, I will show in a moment. As Ms. Groneveld had also talked about, we will also allow our select student groups to be in the buildings full day for 4 days of the 5, Monday through Thursday. And those student groups include our special ed instructional programs, our special education core program, our special education emotional supports program, and also our special education transition program. In addition to those programs, our students in our English as a second language programs will also be allowed to come into the building 4 days a week. And finally, any of our students who are recommended through our Tiger support team, our TST team, that's our deans, our guidance counselors, social workers, and staff members who we've identified that need additional supports to be in the building as many days as possible, will be granted the ability to participate in full day in-person instruction Monday through Thursday, once again beginning Tuesday, April 6th. And as I mentioned earlier, we will have on Fridays a full remote learning day, and that schedule will look different than our Monday through Thursday, again, at both Elm Middle School as well as EPHS. We will again have 45 minutes of staff support time at the beginning of each day. First hour begins at both EMS and EPHS at 8:30. Because we have every student fully remote, we do not need 3 or 4 lunch periods. So we'll only have that 1 30-minute lunch period. And then at 1 o'clock, our days will end, and we will have either, depending on the Friday, we might have every Friday of every month is an early release day where the teachers have additional professional development. And then every other Friday, the first 3 Fridays of every month would be considered asynchronous learning time, where that's an opportunity for the students, especially those students who are in remote, to meet with the staff to get additional support. And again, that time is from 1 to 3:15. And finally, the benefits for EPHS and the staff and the families for this change starting on, again, Tuesday, April 6th, is we'll give students and families an opportunity for 2 full days of instruction within the building each week. That will equate to twice as much time for our students to be in front of our teachers. We also have that 25-minute advisory period added back into the student schedule for social emotional needs, grade level supports, guidance counseling, social work minutes, et cetera, et cetera. With this schedule also more resemble our 21-22 school year. We will also have that asynchronous learning time built into every Friday again, as we had earlier. We will also be able to provide lunch in the school 2 days a week. And finally, just the having an easier routine for our students and our families to follow each week are, again, the benefits for this schedule change. And now I'll turn it over to Mr. Jennings.
Thank you, Mr. Wiles. I'm Jim Jennings, I'm the Assistant Superintendent for Finance and Operations here in the district, and just wanted to take a few minutes to review. I know that Dr. Gochi and many of the principals highlighted some of the health and safety features that we'll be doing, but again, want to just highlight those that we're going to be following all the IDPH guidelines, not just for students and staff, but all visitors. Everyone will be needing to do a wellness check upon entering the buildings. We're going to require everyone wearing masks. Again, social distancing to the best extent possible. And again, that is part of the IDPH guidelines. Sanitizing and cleaning, we're going above and beyond with that. Hired extra staff in each of the buildings in order just to be sanitizing throughout the day. And again, contact tracing, so that, you know, we were hoping that we can avoid any kind of positive cases in the building. But if we do come across one, we're going to be contact tracing to make sure we notify people. This guidance will be fluid, and we'll be providing updates, you know, as needed moving forward. And highlighting the sanitizing, as I mentioned, we had hired an additional custodian for each building. That's their main purpose, is to sanitize throughout the day those high contact points of doorknobs, railings, touch points that they may be doing. We're also using the common areas as far as bathrooms, offices. We're going to be sanitizing again throughout the days. We bought electromagnetic sprayers that provide a mist that doesn't need to be wiped down. It just, within a couple of minutes, will sanitize those surfaces. Classrooms, offices, and other areas used during the day will be cleaned and sanitized each evening. Those were, when possible, right now, if we have a split shift during the day, we're trying to sanitize and do classrooms in between those periods, in between both classes. The sanitizer product we use is EPA-N rated to kill the coronavirus. And regarding transportation, buses, between each bus route, we're also spraying down all the bus seats to make sure that those are sanitized between the different routes. Room setup. Here's just a picture of some of the different varieties. You'll see that some of the desks, and some of them look more like a traditional classroom. Others in the top right are spread out. And then in the bottom area, you'll see some that are like long tables. But regarding the top left, where it might look like a traditional classroom, not those desks will not all be filled. What we do is we color code those. It's hard to see, but one desk in the forefront there has a red X on it, and that might be for one period, and then the yellow X behind it, that's for a different period. So the students will be staggered so that they're sitting in desks that are 6 feet apart, and for a different period, they might be sitting in another desk. a lot of that has to do with we just don't have the storage to remove all the desks. So some of the classrooms just had we kept the furniture in the rooms, and we're just going to make sure that students are using the furniture so that they're spread out. And then you can see in the other rooms that when possible, we're able to spread the furniture out. If there's a long table or something like that, we're just making sure that it's one per table, or if the table's long enough, if they're at the end of the table, again, that they're maintaining that 6 feet whenever possible. And this, you can go on to the next slide, Dr. Coach. The air intake on this slide, we did increase the fresh air intake. I know that sometimes that's a concern. We don't have windows open when it's in the middle of winter, but even without windows being open, our heating system brings in fresh air, and we've increased that amount to provide as much fresh air as possible. It lowers a little bit when we have single-digit weather, just so that our heating coils don't freeze and cause damage. But again, we're increasing the airflow so that even if your room is in an interior room or maybe the windows aren't open, we're still getting fresh air into the buildings. And then we've also improved our air filtration in each of the classrooms, again, as much as we can with the systems we use. Food service, lunch and breakfast is being provided to all students free of charge, and hopefully families are taking advantage of that. We're going to be having a grab and go method where students take that home 2 days a week. And we also have meal pickups currently on Wednesdays for families that may be remote. They can continue to do that. And that may be fluid also. We'll be contacting parents. You'll be getting emails as that changes, with more students maybe coming back or choosing different options. We may need to change that. And if we do, we will notify everyone. You can look on our district website also for the latest updates on food distribution. Highlighted this a little bit already, but visitors. So we're trying to limit the visitors coming to the school. So if at all possible, we're asking parents to contact the schools, and maybe we can do things remotely through email or other texting. And if it's absolutely necessary, you're able, we'll make an arrangement to have you come in, but you will have to provide go through a health screening, and then wearing masks, social distancing, follow the same procedures. If we have any contractors in the building, we try to do that outside of school hours as much as possible, and they also have to follow all the guidelines. The health and safety of the COVID infection protocol, this is a link, and if you click on that as a parent, you can see a lot of questions and answers as far as what happens if a student is sick. The very first thing highlighted here is our Crisis Go app. This is what all staff and students fill out coming into the building, verifying that they don't have symptoms, that they weren't in contact with someone with symptoms, and that no one in their household is currently symptomatic. So they need to fill all that out before they can enter the building. Then again, as we're seeing here, the different scenarios as far as if someone's unable to answer no to all those questions, what are the protocols? If a student is positive, COVID positive or COVID negative, again, there's a lot of, how long do I have to be quarantined, in what circumstances? So again, there's quite a bit of information there, and you can look through that at your leisure to see, again, if you have a question regarding a specific situation, that would hopefully give you the answers you're looking for. And again, just some quick reminders that wearing masks, social distancing, washing hands, those are the things that are going to prevent the spread of COVID. And again, even if your son or daughter, you're not sure or doesn't have any, if you're not sure, you're pretty sure it's not COVID, please make sure you're not sending your students to school when they're ill. We would appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Jennings, and thank you to the building principals for all of that information. I know that it was a lot, and we want to talk some of our next steps here, and that is for parents and guardians to choose, do you want your child to be part of the remote instruction, or do you want them to be part of the hybrid instruction that was just shared with you? So what you're going to see, and we'll show you where you can find it in the link here, are the different surveys that you could go ahead and fill out. We're asking that you fill out a survey for each one of your students, dependent upon the school that they attend. And please complete the survey by February 26th. This will allow us the month of March to put together all the logistics, everything that we need to do to make sure that we are ready for that April 6th start date. If you do not complete the survey, you will be enrolled in fully remote. This is true for our current hybrid students. If you are a current hybrid student, you as a parent also need to fill out the survey. On March 22nd, which is the Monday before our spring break starts, we will share the detailed logistics with each parent and guardian so they know what their child knows what to expect when they start on that April 6th start date. Now, I know that there was a lot of information here and you probably have further questions, and we want to make sure that we're able to answer all of your questions. As you can see here, linked on our presentation, there is a button that says show more, and that's where you can access the survey, and then you can also access a Google form that allows you to enter in any of your questions. And each question is based upon what school you're asking that question about. If you have a question about something at John Mills, you would choose John Mills as the building, and then you would go ahead and ask your question. That way, the building administration at John Mills can follow up with you and answer that question for you. We want to make sure that all of our families are able to have all of their questions answered before they go ahead and complete the survey, if that's necessary. So we want to thank you for listening to our updated opportunities that we can provide for the community of District 401. We are excited about what's to come. We know that it is a lot of work, but we know seeing the kids in person, how important that is, and then we also know being able to meet the needs of all of our families is very important. So thank you for your time this evening, and please let us know if you have any additional questions and complete the survey. We appreciate it. Thank you.